People used to treat me like I was nothing, but every bruise I earned carved out the fighter I am today. In the Summit Crest Martial Arts Dojo, with its gleaming white floors and walls adorned with trophies, I felt like an outsider, me and my twin Elijah, surrounded by polished belts and indifference. We entered the space with hopes of proving our worth, only to discover we were seen as easy prey for the dojo's golden boys, Dylan and Ryan. The taunts began as whispers and escalated with each class, their bullying wearing us down until we couldn't ignore the pain or the isolation. But bruises become lessons, and our father saw the truth beneath our forced smiles. He shifted our training from the sterile floor of the dojo to the gritty embrace of our garage, teaching us the survival skills we needed to rise. With each punch, I felt the weight of my doubts lift, turning the anxiety into muscle and grit. As the Tri-County Invitational approached, nervous energy crackled in the air. Elijah stepped onto the mat first. I held my breath, watching my twin dance through his match with unexpected ease. Then it was my turn against Dylan, who was no longer the cocky bully I remembered. Every move I practiced alongside Elijah slipped into place, each round marking a step in our journey away from fear. When we faced them again in the parking lot afterward, they aimed for intimidation, but we had become relentless. The echoes of our victories rang loudly that day as we stood tall, no longer the targets. In that moment, we found our redemption, not just for ourselves, but for every underdog who had been silenced. As we walked away, I realized this wasn't just victory. It was the beginning of a new legacy, one where we could inspire others to fight back against their battles too. "Hey, look who finally joined us." Dylan sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. Marcus felt the heat creeping up his neck as he glanced at Elijah. The dojo felt suffocating, the brightly lit walls now closing in on them. "Yeah, aren't you guys supposed to be in the wrong class?" Ryan chimed in, a smug smile plastered on his face. "Maybe you should stick to coloring books." Elijah clenched his fists but kept his gaze low, focusing on the mats. They were street fighters in a dojo filled with polished trophies and white belts. And Dylan and Ryan were the golden boys. The weight of their judgment pressed heavily on the twins as they endured training, forced to hide their injuries from their father, their bruised bodies and wounded spirits hidden behind forced smiles. "Just grit your teeth and try," Marcus whispered, masking his own growing anguish. But during drills, the subtle jabs evolved into harsh blows. Dylan's fists connected hard during a light contact drill, eliciting a grunt from Marcus. "Can't take a hit, huh?" Dylan laughed, the sound echoing around the room. After a tough session, Marcus caught a reflection of himself in the dojo's glass. He hardly recognized the defeated boy staring back. That's when their father intervened. In the garage, they transformed, trading fear for furious discipline. "Remember, a real fighter stands tall," he said, demonstrating techniques that pierced through their haze of inadequacy. With each punch, they rewrote their story. As the tournament day arrived, adrenaline pumped through their veins. Elijah's match began, surprise on everyone's face as he outmaneuvered Ryan, securing victory. "Your turn, big guy," Elijah grinned, and Marcus stepped forward, adrenaline and determination roaring to life. "What's the matter, scared?" Dylan tossed out casually, but his bravado faltered as Marcus unleashed their father's teachings. The dojo erupted in shock as Marcus bested him. Afterward, in the parking lot, Dylan and Ryan's humiliation morphed into rage. "You think you can just show us up?" they spat. Taya. But the twins, now armed with vigor and skill, stood their ground, ready to fight back, with a sense of empowerment surging through them that they had never felt before. That night, as they faced their bullies, the balance of power shifted. The echoes of their triumph resonated, not just in their victory, but in their undeniable transformation. The dojo buzzed with anticipation as parents settled into their seats, oblivious to the stewing tension between Marcus and Elijah and the imposing black belts, Dylan and Ryan. The bright lights illuminated the polished floor, revealing bruises the twins had carefully hidden, marks of battles fought in silence. They were visible only if you knew where to look, like whispers among the roars of the crowd. "Think you'll actually last a minute this time?" Dylan taunted, smirking as he flexed his muscles, his arrogance filling the air. Marcus clenched his fists, feeling Elijah's silent support beside him. Each word was a jab, and the weight of their history, peppered with mockery and intimidation, swelled inside him. As Elijah stepped onto the mat, Marcus watched, heart pounding. Elijah moved with a surprising grace, effortlessly outmaneuvering Ryan and clinching a swift victory. The applause rang in Marcus's ears, but the echo couldn't drown out the bitterness gnawing at him. Each turn, he stepped onto the mat, eyeing Dylan, who was no longer the confident bully but a cornered animal. The match ignited memories of backdoor training sessions with their father, moments spent honing skills that were now surfacing beneath Marcus's calm exterior. With each move, a quiet fury surged within him, a realization crystallizing with every score. Enough, his heart whispered, as if coaxing him to embrace a power he had always possessed. As he struck his final blow, a rush of catharsis washed over him, igniting the resolve to stand tall, not just for himself but for the brother beside him. The energy shifted, a message unspoken but clear. The time for silence had ended. As Marcus clenched his fists, he met the eyes of Dylan, who was smirking from across the parking lot. "You think you can walk away after that embarrassment?" Dylan sneered, his bravado masking insecurity. But Marcus felt different now, empowered, grounded, a fighter. "We're not backing down," Elijah said, his voice steady and firm as he stood beside Marcus, an unyielding strength radiating from their solidarity. The confrontation had initially sent a rush of adrenaline through him, but now it felt clarifying. Their father's lessons echoed in his mind: technique, patience, resolve. "You crossed a line," Marcus replied, a quiet intensity sharpening his gaze. He felt the shiny trophies from the dojo, symbols of past victories, fade into insignificance. Ryan stepped forward, fists clenched, a glint of malice in his eyes. "You're still weak," he taunted. But as he approached, Marcus couldn't ignore the slight tremor in Ryan's hands. That flicker of fear was the opening he needed. As the tension escalated, Marcus shifted into a stance his father had taught him, feeling the weight of his newfound training with every muscle. Elijah followed suit, the boys' synchronized movements unmistakable, drawing attention from anyone in the vicinity. "Let's settle this now," Elijah said, both a challenge and a promise, voice resolute. It was a subtle shift, but every word felt like a step towards something greater, something vital. They were no longer the prey, they were the hunters. With a swift motion, Marcus dodged Dylan's punch, countering with precision. Moments transformed as they fought back, their small victories signaling the larger transformation underway. The boys exchanged glances, confidence surging, revealing the truth. They had regained their power, and this was only the beginning. In the aftermath of the Tri-County Invitational, the air buzzed with adrenaline as Marcus and Elijah stepped out of the dojo, their hearts pounding in triumph. The moment felt surreal. Shadows of doubt that once haunted them evaporated. As they caught their breath, they spotted Dylan and Ryan, their faces flushed with humiliation, sneering at the twins from a distance. "Hey, why don't you come back here and show us what those belt colors really mean?" Ryan shouted, sarcasm dripping from every word. Marcus exchanged a glance with Elijah, a silent understanding passing between them. This was the moment they prepared for. Once your lot, tension simmered as the bullies approached. "You think you're tough now?" Dylan challenged, fists balled up, though his bravado wavered like an old flame battling the wind. Instead of flinching, Marcus squared his shoulders. "You took your shots at us. Now you're about to see what we're really made of." With that, the twins sprang into action. Memories of their father's relentless training surged through them as they moved in synchrony, each strike and block forming a dance of empowerment. Marcus sidestepped Dylan's wild swing, using the momentum to land a solid jab that sent his opponent staggering backward. Elijah, with surprising agility, outmaneuvered Ryan, who found himself tangled in his own overconfidence. As the scuffle unfolded, a crowd gathered, eyes wide with disbelief. The twins were no longer the unseen underdogs, but fierce fighters, reclaiming their narrative with every calculated move. Then, just as quickly as it started, the fight drew the attention of security. Shouts filled the air as officers arrived, separating the combatants. The bullying duo, once the kings of the dojo, stood exposed, faces white with shock as they were cuffed for their recklessness, leaving Marcus and Elijah on the periphery, victorious and untouched. In the rising twilight, the twins felt the weight of an invisible crown settle on their heads. Side by side, they walked away, their hearts swelling not just with victory but with vindication, knowing they had redefined their place. No longer passive, but champions standing tall against adversity. As I glance back at our journey, I can see how far we've come, but the scars still remind me of the battles we faced. Marcus and I entered that dojo filled with anxiety and doubt, feeling like outsiders in a world where we were meant to belong. For too long, we were targeted by those who thought they held power over us. It was painful to experience the verbal and physical intimidation that attempted to crush our spirits. But with our Father's unwavering support and the fire within us, we trained relentlessly, transforming fear into strength. When we stood on that competition floor, every moment of doubt faded away. Defeating Dylan and Ryan was more than winning. It was claiming our identities, our worth. Yet it was after the victory that things escalated, forcing us to confront our bullies head-on outside the dojo. The question lingers: did we go too far in standing up for ourselves? Have you faced a situation where you felt powerless? Share your stories below. Let's explore the boundaries of justice together. Right and wrong, power and bias. Your thoughts matter.